The following program has been furnished and paid for by the Health and Wealth Power Hour, and KSCV is not responsible for its content or the product or services offered.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Power Hour with industry expert and health insurance broker pro, Harlan Pickett. A show about how you can live longer with more cash and flexibility to really enjoy those years and never run out of money. Harlan will take your calls on a variety of topics related to health insurance, health care, retirement income planning, Social Security, thrift savings plan, 403b, 401k, or just about anything that gives you the tools to take action on keeping more dollars in your pocket and putting more dollars towards your retirement. He'll even share a few industry secrets if you listen close. And now, here's your host, Harlan Pickett.
All right. Welcome back to the Health and Wealth Power Hour. I am the aforementioned Harlan Pickett. It is great to be with y'all today. What a week. All these changes in the ACA. People are saving lots of money. We have helped put tens of thousands of dollars back in people's pockets over the last week. What a great feeling it is to help individuals reclaim some of their wealth and be able to put it towards things that really mean something to them instead of towards things that and many times don't. Unusable health plans that many people have because of high deductibles and my doctor won't see me, and the list goes on. It is wonderful to help folks find the right plan. It is even greater whenever they can afford it and it doesn't have a huge financial impact in their life in the negative way. It's great when it has that positive effect. A couple of things that have come up the last week. Here's the big questions we have received as we help people make this transition and get them that extra money that they are entitled to. The first is, if I make this change, is my plan going to start over? Do I have to meet my deductible again? If you stay with the same plan, the answer is no. That means if you were paying $400, $500, $600, $1,000 a month for your plan, and you had a $5,000 deductible, had paid $3,000 towards that already, but with your new tax credit now, you're getting another $200 or $300 towards that. As long as we don't change you to a different plan, that same $3,000 that has gone towards your deductible because you did not change plans will still go towards that same deductible. Remember, you really haven't changed your plan. You're just paying less for it now. One of the other things that's been a little bit of a misconception is that, okay, well, I guess I'm a new member again now. I'm going to get new cards. I'm going to have to reset up my account. I'm going to have to set up my payment again. Unless you change plans, or in this case, really change carriers, that is not the case. You may receive new cards in some circumstances, but you're still going to be on the same plan unless you made that change. Now, a couple of interesting things that have happened too. If you happen to be on a silver plan and your tax credit now puts you into what's called cost share reduction, or CSR. I don't have to go too deep to explain what all that is, but what it means to you as an individual is that now your deductible and your copays can be lower than what they were before. Now, this will only apply to silver plans. Now, the reason that's important is because let's say you're that same individual that had a $5,000 deductible and you've put $3,000 towards it, and now you qualify for CSR, cost share reduction, at a greater level, or maybe for the first time, you may have actually already met your deductible now. Your deductible may go completely away, or your deductible may be moved, say, from $5,000 to $3,500 or to $1,500. It could change it to the point where you have now met your deductible for the year on that same plan. Once again, you have not changed plans. Your plan changed. Listen to what I just said. You have not changed plans. Your plan changed. Your plan itself got additional benefits that were not there before. And it's because that extra tax credit moved you into a different place. If you have questions about that, I highly recommend that you reach out to us so we can make sure that you understand specifically what has happened to your plan. Even if you have made this change on your own and did not have us make that change for you, we'll still be happy to explain to you what's going on with your plan. So please reach out to us at Eagle Care Health Solutions, and that is 512-559-4358. That's 512-559-4358 or EagleCareHealth.com. One of the things that we have added to our site, and this is a big deal because we've already had a lot of people take advantage of this, is you can now go over to EagleCareHealth.com, go to our ACA page, which is accessible right there from that main landing page, and you can get a quote on your own. I know a lot of folks don't like to make that call. They don't want to talk to anybody, and they just want to see what would it look like if I tried to get a plan. You can go and do that with no obligation, and no one's going to start calling you. The one thing you got to remember is if you're dealing with us, we are not selling your information to anybody. You're not going to go out. I'm sure anybody that's ever done this knows what a terrible experience it is to put your name out there on a website thinking you're dealing with somebody, and all of a sudden every dadgum insurance agent in the state of Texas, and some of them outside the state of Texas, are calling you now trying to sell you something. That is not going to happen if you go and get a quote through EagleCareHealth.com. You are dealing directly with us, and unless you request us to contact you for some more information, we will not do so. We just want to make sure that you get all the information you need to make an educated decision. We want to help you through that process, but if you'd rather do it by yourself, you can go right through our website, get the information, and even complete the whole process on your own. We just want to be sure that you have access to all the tools you need to make sure you get the best plan at the best price. And as I've said many times before, the greatest plan in the world is not worth a darn if you can't afford it. So be sure that whenever you choose your plan and you get all the benefits you want, that's going to fit in with your budget too. Because once again, you can pay for it for a couple of months and then you can't pay for it no more, did it really do you any good to have that? That is one of the things that we help you do if you allow us to work with you. We really want to provide you that help. Remember, our goal is your success. And part of that success is making sure you have access to affordable care and making sure that you can get the plan that works the best for you. So allow us to help you, and I promise you will not be disappointed in the customer service that you receive and also in the plan that you end up on. Once again, you can reach us at 512-559-4358 or EagleCareHealth.com. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how we have been saving folks money. Remember that when we discussed this before, because of the change of the law on the American Rescue Plan Act, April 1st is when it took effect. It was signed on March 11th. April 1st, it took effect, and it changed the way that they calculate a tax credit on the Affordable Care Act or on healthcare.gov. And what it means is if you have a plan already, you're going to get a greater amount of tax credit. If you didn't qualify before, you may qualify now. We have people that are in the range of making $150,000 to $200,000, and depending on their family makeup, they are now qualifying for tax credits when before there was zero chance that they would do so, and we're paying astronomically high prices if they had traditional insurance. We're talking about prices like $1,800, $2,400, $3,200 per month. Can you imagine spending $40,000 a year on health insurance? That's insane. Absolutely insane. But there were people out there that had to do it because of pre-existing conditions, because of the nature of the plan they were trying to get, and that's what they had to do. If you ever thought about changing your plan, maybe you have found out since you signed up in January, or signed up last year for a January start, that now your doctor doesn't take the plan that you have. You can also make that change now. We have a COVID special enrollment period that lasts all the way through August 15th. So now you can, just like open enrollment, you can change to another plan at this time. You can add people to your plan. You can take people off of your plan. We can do those things right now if that's what makes sense to you. The only way to know for sure is to talk to one of us. We can certainly help you through the process. We want to make sure you get the absolute best plan for you and your family. All right, time for a break. When we come back, got a special guest for today. we're going to talk about men's health. Remember, Health and Wealth Power Hour. All parts of that, health and wealth. We'll be right back.
Got a question for Harlan? Phone lines are open now. Call 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV.
Whether you're an individual or a business owner, Eagle Care offers health plan payments around half of what most are paying in traditional insurance premium plans. Plus, you'll have the control to choose providers from one of the best provider networks in the nation.
During COVID, we had great coverage for our whole family. The day I signed up, we had a welcome call, and it was so personal and genuine. Plus, we went from $1,500 to $690 a month with Eagle Care. Thanks.
That is the Eagle Care way. Reclaim your freedom to choose and soar high above the rest. Find us online at EagleCareHealth.com. Eagle Care Health Solutions. It's not insurance, it's better.
In the Army National Guard, family means everything.
Our parents, they were really supportive that all 5 of us would join. I got my education because of the Guard. I got to travel a little bit and experience a whole different culture. It helped me get my job, it helped me pay for my house.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard instills pride that you and your family will share. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more about part-time service. Sponsored by the Texas Army National Guard. Aired by the Texas Association of Broadcasters and this station.
COVID-19 has changed how we live and how we feel. But now there are vaccines, and they are the first step that lets us get back to the things we miss most, like spreading the word without spreading concern, girls tripping instead of solo sipping, and talking smack with the side of mac and cheese. It's okay to have questions about COVID-19 vaccines. Now, get the facts. Visit getvaccineanswers.org so you can make an informed decision when COVID-19 vaccines are available to you. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Listen up, y'all. It's the Car Doctor Radio Show.
Do we have a doctor, please? Doctor?
Join Ty Lothringer from Skeeter's Auto Service.
Doctor in the house, please. Thank you.
Jody Chesser, the Diesel Doctor. Robert Gruner from Auto Techtronics.
Take your time. Doctor, please.
Skip Hartley from Thunderbolt Motors. Conrad DeLong from BG Products.
That was good. That was good. Thank you very much, Doctor.
The Car Doctors this Saturday from noon till 2, or listen online now at TexasCarDoctor.com.
This is Harlan Pickett. My friends at FESA believe in the old saying, what goes around comes around. By helping people at no cost to them, many times they can retire earlier than expected with an income they cannot outlive. Go FESA at GoFESA.com. We help Americans retire. Oh yeah, love a little top, baby. Good deal, good deal. All right, welcome back. Health and Wealth Power Hour with Harlan Pickett. We are very honored today to have Mr. John Bargerstock here, a 30-year veteran of the Army, now retired. John is the owner and clinical director of Key T Wellness in beautiful, scenic Dickinson, Texas.
That's right.
All right, John, welcome aboard, buddy. Good to have you today.
Thanks, Harlan. It's a real honor to be here and talk with you about a few things.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It is great to have somebody to talk about something other than health insurance because, hey, Health and Wealth Power Hour, man, we want to talk about all the things health, and I'm sure people are tired of hearing about health insurance. So let's talk about something else, man. We talked a little bit earlier, and you said that one of the primary things you like to bring information to the public on is men's health. So tell us a little bit about that and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Our clinic down in Sweet Dickinson, Texas, we specialize in testosterone replacement therapy for men, but we also do other services that include women as well. We offer some weight loss options down there. I do Botox for the ladies and occasionally men, and we do B12 injections as well. But primarily, the backbone of the business is testosterone replacement therapy.
Okay, well, asking for a friend, John, why would someone need to have testosterone? I mean, what's the reason behind that? What's it going to do for my friend?
Yeah,
John?
all of our questions are always for friends, so I'm happy to answer those questions. But yeah, from the age of about 35 on, we know that our testosterone levels start to drop dramatically, anywhere from, get this, 10 to 20% per decade of life after the mid-30s and beyond. So Usually we don't really start feeling things until we get into our 40s. That's when we realize, hey, man, it feels like I'm getting old at this point. But really, oftentimes what it is your testosterone levels that are declining at such a rapid rate that now it's starting to affect you and cause symptoms.
Okay, well, what kind of symptoms are we talking about, John? Somebody may be having this issue and not even realize it, thinking it's just the one that everyone thinks about. But what other symptoms could they possibly have, John?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. A lot of the guys think that we just, treat below the belt line, and really what it is, it's head to toe is really what it is. The mental fog that we get late in the afternoon, that fatigue, our body's ability to stay lean and prevent from gaining weight declines. Of course, our sexual performance declines as well. But there are so many things that testosterone benefits that most guys aren't even aware of. And so, we usually have the guys come in. It's about a 20-minute blood test that we do, and that confirms treatability, basically. A lot of the guys, will use their insurance to pay for the treatment, and it will. But there are also cash options as well for those who don't even have insurance. But hopefully, after listening to your show, a lot of these guys who don't will then have it.
Great. And that brings up a whole other question then, because you say y'all accept insurance. That's interesting, because I know a lot of wellness places don't even think about considering insurance, right?
Correct. Unfortunately, and I guess maybe even fortunately, for the insurances to play with us, so to speak, we are required to have a test that is at a certain level or below. Generally speaking, that number is about 350 or less, generally qualifies a person for treatment. Now, throw insurances into the mix, and they have different criteria, believe it or not, that would allow them to pay for it. Aetna Insurance and Blue Cross are two of the ones in particular that make it a little more difficult for guys to get covered by their insurance in order for them to pay for it. But they will pay for it.
Okay, and is that because they have a different level, or do they have to meet other requirements on top of that level?
So Blue Cross, for example, requires levels to be less than 350. The blood test has to be performed before 11 a.m. And if for some reason that guy comes in and his levels are 351, okay, now what do we do, right? So there's another parameter that we can take a look at as well, something called the free T levels, not just the total T levels. And if those free T levels are low enough, then that too would qualify a person to be covered under their insurance. Aetna Insurance, however, requires even stricter guidelines than Blue Cross, believe it or not. They want to see levels below 300, and they want to see free T levels that are even lower than the industry standard is out there. So basically, they're saving millions of dollars by not having to pay for gentlemen who probably need treatment.
Right, and I don't think that anyone out there is shocked to find out that insurance companies are playing a little bit of games there, right, to try to not cover something.
Absolutely. So, they play a little bit of games with the patients, and they play games with us, too, on the back end in order to get paid.
Right, and I understand that, too. I'm sure you have some horror stories of having to deal with certain insurance companies and thinking you're never going to get paid by certain things. And we've talked about it before. That's just one of the unfortunate realities that small businesses such as yourself have to deal with, and why many wellness places do not accept insurance.
That's correct.
Because they don't want to have to deal with that. You have to have additional personnel to deal just with that, because you certainly don't have time. You're the clinical director. You can't sit there all day trying to make sure that all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed so Blue Cross Blue Shield gets it and you get paid this century.
Yeah, exactly. we do need a little small army in order to collect. We're in contracts with these health insurance companies, and even with that contract, if you're somebody like Blue Cross, who represents 40% of the state of Texas, they can pretty much do what they want and get away with it.
They do.
Yeah, they do. And they've even been known to perform what's called a clawback. And so if they check your records and you don't have all those I's dotted and T's crossed, they'll take money right back from you or not pay you for 6 months. It's crazy.
Right. Another question. We didn't talk about this beforehand, so I'm interested to know the answer to this. Medicare. How does Medicare work in with this, if at all?
Yeah, generally, clinics like mine have a senior medical director as well, generally an MD, and depending on how that MD classifies themselves, they can either opt in or opt out for accepting Medicare. Okay, so my particular medical director, because he also owns a standalone ER of his own, has opted out of Medicare, and therefore we're opted out by default because he's opted out with his other business. So it just depends on the medical director's preference to be able to accept that or not.
Okay, so in your clinic's case, someone who's on Medicare is not really a good candidate for you.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
If they were to contact you, is there any way you could refer them to one? Do you know? I don't know. I mean, once again, we didn't talk about this, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, most of the wellness clinics, particularly if they do what I do not accept Medicare. Their reimbursement rates are not very good, as you may be aware, and so most of those don't take Medicare.
But, of course, that wouldn't stop someone from being a cash.
That's
patient,
correct.
right?
That's correct. Yeah, there are some nuances to that depending on their particular Medicare parameters, but, yeah, for the most part, I would say, they're not really supposed to pay cash for medical services, and so it makes it difficult for them to find a clinic that's willing to treat them. They often have to go to their primary care physician for that.
Right. Well, if someone wanted to get started, someone thought, you know what, that I do have that afternoon fog. I've got a couple of things going on here that when John said that kind of struck a nerve. What would be the steps that they need to take, John?
Well, certainly if you've never been tested before, I encourage every guy above the age of 30 to get tested, but certainly even less. When we start treatment for a gentleman, our goal is to kind of get them back to where they were. Unfortunately, you don't take your car to the mechanic if it's not broken, so we don't know what our levels are at their prime when we're 20 or 25, even 30 in most cases. So it's oftentimes after they've already had symptoms before they even go and get tested. So I encourage everybody to at least get your baseline now. So 5 years, 10 years from now, you'll know what once was. And that'll help guys like me figure out how to get you back there. At this point, most people come in for a 20-minute test. It's a blood test. And once they are deemed treatable, we start therapy, and then we slowly titrate doses up until their symptoms are essentially relieved at that point. Everybody ends up with a very personalized, customized dose. It is not a one-size-fits-all approach, and if you fall into that category with your primary care or whoever is treating you, I encourage you to maybe consider looking elsewhere for a more customized dose, because everybody's number is different, everybody's dose is different. You and I wouldn't be on the same blood pressure dose of medication if we were both on blood pressure medication. Hormones are much more sensitive than even blood pressure, so it makes sense that your numbers would be different than mine in terms of your dosing needs as well as your treatment needs.
That's a very good point, because I don't think people really think about that. I certainly hadn't thought about that, but you're exactly right. Otherwise, they wouldn't have all the different size dosages of certain medications, right?
Absolutely.
Everyone's lisinopril is not the same.
That's right.
There's a whole variety of them. Some have to take stronger doses than others. This would be the same exact thing. And I can also understand what you're saying on the hormones. This is a natural body chemical, not something that's man-made, as it were. So your body's going to be even more sensitive to the exact amount that you need. That's a very good point.
That therapeutic window is even more narrow when it comes to those things.
Well, if someone needed to find out more, how can they get a hold of you, John?
Certainly, they can find us online at www.keitwellness.com. They can also give us a call at 833, not 832, but 833-KEY-T123 or 833-539-8123.
That's great. Tell you what, I've got some more questions for you as we keep going through this. As a small business owner, I have some questions about how you handle benefits with your employees. And I also found out right before the show that you're looking to grow your business.
Absolutely.
All right. When we come back, we're going to talk to John Bargerstock some more, not just about men's wellness, but what it takes to be a small business owner in today's competitive world of wellness. We'll be right back. Health and Wealth Power Hour coming back at you.
Where you've heard about love and giving sight to the blind. My baby loving cause the sun to shine, and she my sweet little thing. She my pride and joy.
Want to be part of the conversation? Phone lines are open. Call now, 281-558-5738. That's 281-558-KSEV.
Got FESA? That is the Federal Employees Service Association, and they've been assisting federal employees and the private sector with their retirement benefits for more than a decade, helping you understand your benefits, ensuring that you are not paying for benefits you don't need, and that you will receive the largest retirement check while paying the least in taxes. That's what FESA can do for you. A recent client had this to say.
Joy took what felt like a 12-lane highway heading off in all different directions, and it turned into a single-lane country road. Ah, feels like my first breath of retirement, and it feels good.
This is Harlan Pickett. My friends at FESA believe in the old saying, what goes around comes around. By helping people at no cost to them, many times they can retire earlier than expected with an income they cannot outlive. Go FESA at gofesa.com. We help Americans retire.
Dan Patrick for my friend Louis Flory and Ability Tree Experts.
Spring is here and summer just around the corner, which means it's time to deep root fertilize your trees in addition to spraying for insects and disease. Let Ability Trees help maintain their value and repair all damage. Fed and pruned tree will be less susceptible to wind damage and uprooting. Caring for the beautiful and valuable trees on your property that you can't replace should be done by experts. And the experts I use, it's very clear. It's Ability Tree Experts and Louis Flory.
My friend for over 30 years.
Gosh, this guy is the pro when it comes to taking care of trees. You know, pruning is important for the health of your trees. And pruning limits resistance to spring storms and allows the sun and fresh air into the canopy. Trees can be in distress several months without showing any signs. So don't wait to protect your investment at 281-441-4179, 281-441-4179, or visit their website at abilitytrees.com. Right now, Ability Trees is giving a deep root feeding with every tree pruned. Ability Trees, Houston's leading tree care professional.
This is Harlan Pickett for Eagle Care Health Solutions. Because of the American Rescue Plan, you may qualify for reduced health insurance costs or even a zero premium. Let us help you secure your savings by taking action now. Just contact us here at Eagle Care Health Solutions, online at eaglecarehealth.com. We know getting good, affordable coverage is hard. Eagle Care makes it easy.
Don't miss your chance to reduce your health insurance payment. Government estimates $50 per person per month savings. Go to eaglecarehealth.com.
All right, Health and Wealth Fire, we're back. Yes, the heat is on. It should be anyway. Might be time to go see John Bargerstock down in Dickinson. Make sure your heat is on there, John. I'll tell you what, that is very interesting information that you provided us on the testosterone replacement, or I guess not really replacement. It's just the enhancement to get back to the levels that you were at. Once again, we are with John Bargerstock, owner and clinical director of KT Wellness in Dickinson, Texas, providing us some great information on men's wellness today. John, I want you to please get your contact information out again. As we were kind of talking at the break, I think it's very important that people get this information. And, you know, John just asked me point blank, do you know your numbers? And I just kind of looked at him and whistled and said, how can folks get a hold of you, John?
Yeah, so www.keywellness.com, or they can give us a call at 833-KEYT-123 or 833-539-8123.
All right, great. Thank you, sir. All right, before the break, I asked you a question about benefits. And we just kind of skirted over this before the show a little bit. And you're looking at expanding your business, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How, as a small business owner, do you attract and keep good quality employees? Have you found that to be something difficult?
Well, great question. Obviously, you know, when you look for a job, you want to find those that have the best benefits package, of course. And, you know, when we opened our first location, we came out of the gate with, you know, vision, dental, medical coverage. And, you know, we thought, okay, this is something that in order to gain the best employees, we need to at least offer that, you know. And at some point we thought, well, wouldn't it be great at some point to offer, you know, a 401k or some other benefits that a lot of the bigger employers often have, you know. But as a small business, you know, you struggle because, you know, you're just starting off, you're trying to make ends meet, you're trying to allow the business to succeed, and it's tough to offer those benefits right out of the gate. We did that, and then about a year in, guess what happened? You know, business didn't flourish as we expected or had hoped, and we had to cut those benefits. It is expensive for the employer to provide those benefits for the employee. You know, you don't even think of it, and oftentimes for the, you know, payroll taxes and Texas workman's compensation fees, et cetera. So those things add up over time. So we end up having to cut our benefits because of that. Now, it's funny because we actually opted for a really nice Blue Cross Blue Shield plan. A couple of my employees, however, one of them was a military dependent, so she was on her husband's plan. Another one of my employees was on her husband's plan, who works in the oil and gas industry. So there were really only 2 or 3 of us that had those benefits. And yes, it was expensive, but we ended up having to cut that. And so unfortunately for an employer, sometimes it's difficult. Blue Cross Blue Shield is one of the best plans out there. That's why it represents about 40% of the state. Typically great for employers, great for employees, but unfortunately bad as a business owner because they don't want to pay us, what they owe us when we make those claims. So it's an interesting twist of how things work.
And then, of course, as I'm sure you found out, you said about after a year, and after that first year, what did you find out was fixing to happen to that Blue Cross plan?
Well, rates are going up, of course.
Didn't matter if you used it or not, right?
Didn't matter if we used it or not.
Yeah, and that's an unfortunate reality that many small businesses find out. And then you look and you say, okay, we're going to pay the majority of it for our employee, or even 50%. But that price keeps going up. You found that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then if that employee, in turn, wants to add a family member, it's virtually impossible for them to do so because of how expensive it is.
Correct.
Because as a small business owner, you can't really afford. You're already spending quite a bit of money for that employee. You really can't pay for the family too.
Well, yeah, and it was a real learning experience as an employer. You can decide how much of that plan you want to pay for,
right.
And then the employee is responsible for the other portion. Hell, I didn't even know that was an option for us, and then you realize, okay, well, maybe I can still afford the coverage for my employees, but now they're having to come out of pocket even deeper. You don't want to do that to them as well. So it's a really, you're kind of between a rock and a hard place and what to do there.
You really are, and that's something that I've seen in our industry for years and years, and it is a game that the insurance companies play. And anyone that's ever had group insurance, unless you're at a giant company, you're going to see that. About every 2 to 3 years, the provider changes. Well, we had Blue Cross. Look, we're moving to Humana. Look, we're moving to United Healthcare.
Yeah.
We're back to Aetna. Now, look, we're back to Blue Cross. We had them, 10 years ago now, 12 years ago. Why? Because it's that cycle that they go through. To get your rates back down, you have to change to another provider. It's just the game that they play, and I know it gets very frustrating for the owner, and the employee, in many cases, doesn't understand why it's happening.
Correct.
And I really do want you to understand, if you're an employee somewhere and you've seen this happen, this is why. Because there's a reason, and I always thought this was an interesting term used for employees for benefits, is for your employer, it's considered burden. That is the term that is used in our industry, in the insurance industry, to describe the employees that are on an employer plan and the benefits that they receive. You are the burden. That is what it's called. Now, your employer should not consider you a burden. But when it comes time to write that check, or you see that come out automatically from your bank account, all of a sudden you realize, just like you did, John, where can I save some money?
Right.
Here's where it is. And then you had to weigh that. You already had some people that weren't on the plan, and now you start looking at what the new cost is going to be to the business and what you may have to push off to the employee, and the employee's then telling you, well, if I'm going to have to pay this, then I'm probably not going to take it. Now, all of a sudden, the insurance company's not even going to be interested in renewing with you because you no longer have the minimum number of people that it would take to be on there.
Yeah, and I did lose an employee over it. There was a single mom, and she absolutely had to have the insurance, so makes it tough.
It really does make it tough. And, one of the things that, once again, I just met you today, John. I know that you've talked to some folks with Eagle Care to get this set up. And at any time, I don't believe anyone talked to you trying to sell you anything. We wanted to get the information. But I would really love the opportunity just to show you what we can do so that you can hopefully offer benefits again in the future. If not now, then when it works for you and your budget, but also just show you what's out there now. Show you a different way of looking at things in a different way that you can help your employees and they can find the type of plan that works best for them and have options. Because whenever you offered those plans, you offered one plan, didn't you?
Correct.
And you probably didn't know that you could do more than that you could offer options.
Well, we did, but we wanted to, offer the most we could for our employees and take on as much burden as we could as an employer. So it's a tough spot to make a decision on.
It really is. And, one of the things that we see people do now, and you've probably seen this or heard this too, is a lot of times someone will offer maybe not the best plan in the world. And I'm going to go ahead and pay for that. But if you want to upgrade, you're going to have to pay the little bit difference to upgrade to the next place.
Absolutely.
And that's pretty common in the industry too. But if we can find you a plan that is the same cost or less than that low-end plan but covers like the high-end plan,
absolutely makes sense.
That's where we're going. We want to make sure that your employees have a joyful experience having a plan that takes care of them, and they don't look at this and go, well, I can't use this. Look, I got a $6,000, $8,000 deductible. I can't even go to my own clinic.
Right.
Because I'd have to meet this deductible before I could have this done. Because even though we call this wellness, that is not, you and I just talked about this a minute ago, this is not part of your annual physical. This is not part of your wellness check every year. They don't run these tests.
Right.
This is not considered. Even though it should be, it is not considered part of that. And so we see these people that have these high deductibles, and it's not uncommon to see it out in the industry. It's not uncommon for me to see it with my own clients, that they call me up and they say, I've got this and this going on. Do you have any idea where I might be able to go? Because I'm going to have to pay cash. My plan's just not going to cover it. I got an $8,000 deductible. That's all I could afford. Now what am I going to do?
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you see the same thing.
All the time.
They come in, they want their insurance. Maybe you even take their insurance. Maybe they do have a really nice Blue Cross Blue Shield plan, or think they do. And they come in and see you, and you get the card, and you say, well, you realize that you've got a $5,000 deductible, and nothing's covered until you meet them.
Well, it has turned a lot of patients away because of that, and those who stick around, normally they would come in and to see their doctor pay $25 or $30 copay. Well, now they're paying $75, $80, and I see them every week. Okay, so that adds up quickly.
It does.
And a lot of them, their deductible is more than what they would pay for a year for cash pay for us. So a lot of them just opt out and pay cash and don't even use their insurance.
Right.
Now, that's not being credited towards their deductible, of course. So if some tragic event happens, nothing's been credited towards that. But that's, kind of rolling the dice for them, and they often have to do that.
And while that's a good point, because I see that a lot too. In fact, I recommend that to people in certain instances, because now they're getting the care that they need. But it does point out something that we've said a number of times on this show, and that is to get good quality health care, you do not necessarily have to have health insurance.
That's correct.
A lot of folks do not understand that, because in this country we have been brainwashed into believing that they're the same thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my medical director, in fact, has a cash option if they don't have insurance, and he owns an ER, and he has a plan. So there are a lot of providers who are being creative to allow them to have that health care, which is great.
And that is great. You're absolutely right. But it's unfortunate that too many people don't even look at that option. And we even had folks call into the show asking me, well, what are you talking about? Where could I possibly go and get coverage? And I'm sure you've heard of the concept of direct primary care also.
Yes.
And DPC is growing by leaps and bounds because of that exact thing. People actually able to get care now without having to worry about insurance. And having that membership at a direct primary care is a huge benefit.
Oh, absolutely.
Because now you can go, and most of them have a small copay or no copay, most of them around $10 copay, and you can go as many times as you want to. And that is a huge benefit. Now you've got that relationship with a doctor again, and that doctor cares about all of your wellness and wants to make sure that other things, such as you guys take care of, are also done.
And here's the sad part. Often when they create those memberships, they're getting paid more by the patient than they would otherwise be collecting from the insurance companies.
That's right.
That's what's a tragedy.
And they're getting paid today.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why they love it. They love the concept of that, because we're getting paid today. And quite honestly, even if it's not as much, getting paid today versus getting paid 6 months from now, that's a big deal.
Big deal.
And not having to have all those extra personnel. Most of your direct primary clinics do not accept insurance, and the reason for that is I don't have to have those extra people for administration.
Yes, sir.
I can have people that actually take care of the folks that come in, not to just push papers, not to just make sure I got the right code on there, because if I don't have the right code, I'm never getting paid by Aetna, right?
A lot of talk lately about cutting out that middleman, right?
Yeah. There really is. Obviously, we're talking a lot about insurance on this. We want to make sure people have the right coverage, but we also need them to understand that not having coverage is an option. Now, that doesn't mean you shouldn't have something like we do offer with Eagle Care, where you have catastrophic type coverage or high level coverage with a health share type plan. We also offer short-term plans that offer high deductible catastrophic. If something terrible were to happen, you don't want to be in debt for the rest of your life because it did. So I'm not saying you shouldn't have something there as a catch-all, as it were.
Correct.
An umbrella. But not having a high dollar copay plan can work just as well as having one, and of course save you thousands of dollars a year.
Oh, absolutely. I've had some of my patients, when I write them prescriptions for whatever medication they're getting, oftentimes paying cash is cheaper than going through their insurance for the same exact medication, same script.
Absolutely. Had a gentleman I was working with just this morning. HSA plan is what he's looking for. I sent him over the information. One of the things people don't understand about HSAs is they cover nothing until you've met the deductible. He said, oh my gosh, I can't do this. They don't even cover my meds until I've met this $5,200 deductible. I said, well, Dan, let's take a look and see what this is going to look like. Well, all of your medications are less than $20 a month.
Right.
All of your medications together are less than $50 a month. Don't let this be the deciding factor. You've got to look at all of the different parts of the plan. And I'm sure you've seen that. You've talked to people about that, and they don't have to meet their deductible to get that good coverage, to get that good treatment at your clinic.
Absolutely.
All right. Great having John here with us today. We'll be back in just a few minutes to wrap up and talk to John a few more minutes about all the things that he's got going on at his clinic. Harlan Pickett, Health and Wealth Power Hour. Be right back.
Got FESA? That's the Federal Employee Service Association. Find out what FESA can do for you. A recent client had this to say.
Joy took what felt like a 12-lane highway heading off in all different directions, and it turned into a single-lane country road. Feels like my first breath of retirement, and it feels good.
This is Harlan Pickett. My friends at FESA believe in the old saying, what goes around comes around. By helping people at no cost to them, many times they can retire earlier than expected with an income they cannot outlive. Go FESA at gofesa.com. We help Americans retire.
If doctors told us that we'd made a breakthrough on COVID-19, we would rejoice. We'd feel hope that we could live our lives again, get back to work, back to doing what we want. Well, masks are a ticket to that freedom. We can help protect others and save lives by covering our noses and mouths, which is how the virus mainly spreads. Until there's a vaccine, grab the breakthrough that's already here. When we're out, it's masks on. A message to help keep you safe.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Businesses that run like clockwork establish routines they trust. That's why over 1 million companies rely on Cintas. We'll help you protect employees and customers with essential safety supplies, inspect your fire protection systems and devices, hygienically launder your uniforms, and keep you well-stocked with the leading hand sanitizers and disinfecting wipes. Learn how Cintas can help you open your doors with confidence.
Oh, I'm ready!
Visit Cintas.com and get ready for the workday.
Got FESA? That is the Federal Employee Service Association, and they've been assisting federal employees and the private sector with their retirement benefits for more than a decade, helping you understand your benefits, ensuring that you are not paying for benefits you don't need, and that you will receive the largest retirement check while paying the least in taxes. That's what FESA can do for you. A recent client had this to say.
Joy took what felt like a 12-lane highway heading off in all different directions, and it turned into a single-lane country road. Feels like my first breath of retirement, and it feels good.
This is Harlan Pickett. My friends at FESA believe in the old saying, what goes around comes around. By helping people at no cost to them, many times they can retire earlier than expected with an income they cannot outlive. Go FESA at gofesa.com. We help Americans retire. All right, we are back. Health and Wealth Power Hour. Harlan Pickett, your host today. We are spending some time with Mr. John Bargerstock with Key T Wellness there in Dickinson, Texas. John has given us some really good information today on men's health. During the break, he was telling me about peptides. Did I say that right? Peptides?
That's it.
Peptides. All right. I have never heard of a peptide in my life. I don't even know where to get started. You were talking about some different things. What in the world is a peptide, and what is peptide therapy, John?
Yep, great. I'm glad you asked, Harlan. So peptide is basically a small signaling molecule. Peptides are made up of a series of amino acids, and once a peptide gets large enough, and it's based on molecular weight, they then refer to it as a protein. So a peptide is just a really small protein, but it's a signaling marker, a signaling protein inside of the body that basically tells the body to perform some physiologic function or to release some chemical. And for those of you who probably aren't aware, insulin is a peptide, okay? So that we all know kind of what insulin does. It's, diabetics use it. So depending on the individual peptide, and there's probably about 70 to 80 mainstream peptides that we can get our hands on that perform different functions, but there's about 700 to 800 known in the human body. Okay, the peptide industry is really huge over in Europe, as most things that are good for us often start in Europe, and there's less regulation over there. But unfortunately, the peptides are often difficult to find. People or labs who synthesize those and get those. And unfortunately, a lot of the peptides out there's one, for example, that allows your body to release its own growth hormone. They call those growth hormone secretagogues, and there's a variety of those peptides that will do that. There are some peptides, as I mentioned, insulin. There's other peptides out there that have already been purchased by Big Pharma and are marketed under other names that we're already familiar with. One of those in particular is called Vyleesi, Vyleesi. That peptide is, the generic name for that peptide is called bremelanotide, which was a derivative of another product called melanotan. And so that peptide in particular, it's really interesting. That peptide, and those, generally most peptides are injected, so it's a sub-Q injection in the belly fat or wherever. But Vyleesi is a peptide that was FDA approved for women who have hypoactive sexual dysfunction disorder, or HSDD. And really what it does is it turns on your libido about an hour or so after an injection. One injection by Big Pharma cost over $700. But get this, you ready for this? I can get an entire vial for about $150 through a synthesizing peptide pharmacy. So guess who doesn't like that? The FDA, right?
Yeah.
The owner of bremelanotide or Vyleesi, they pay thousands upon thousands of dollars every year to keep that medication registered under the FDA.
Right.
So if the FDA can't dip their fingers into the cookie jar, they want to try to squash those peptides from being released and being even synthesized. So it's becoming more and more difficult to get our hands on peptides. And there are very, very few people who do that type of therapy or even know how to get them. Of course, those have to be vetted and sourced properly. There are some websites out there that sell peptides, but you have to kind of wonder what you're really getting for those places.
Right. So give me an example of, so you've been doing these treatments for about a year, you said, right?
Correct.
So give me an example of someone, symptom-wise or situation-wise, why they should reach out to you and look at one of these treatment options.
Sure. So I get a lot of the peptides are what I would kind of call vanity peptides. They're certainly not something your insurance is going to pay for. So these are all
Right.
cash services, of course. But let's say, for example, somebody comes in and they tell me, they've tried Cialis and Viagra, and those medications just aren't working for them. There are other options out there. And unfortunately, with those particular types of medications, anybody that's on a heart medication or that takes nitroglycerin, for example, can't even take those medications because they'll interfere
Right.
and interact with that.
Right.
This particular product, Vyleesi or bremelanotide, can also be used in men. It's just marketed for women and FDA approved for women. So they can come in and say, look, nothing has worked to help me in this arena. Do you have any options? And I'll tell them, yeah, absolutely, we do. And this is what it is, and this is how it works. And let me tell you, that creates an itch that's got to be scratched. So it's a great peptide, but not a lot of people know about it, certainly, and it's hard to get your hands on and people that know how to use it.
Right. So if someone wants to find out more, once again, how can they reach you, John?
Yeah, we're at www.keytwellness.com or 833-539-8123 or 833-KEYT123.
And you brought someone with you today. You brought the lovely Amber with you, and she was telling me just a few minutes ago that y'all have an event coming up that you want to share, and maybe some folks can come out and meet you, right?
Yeah, we do. Miss Amber's here. She's the VP of our marketing, so I'll let her tell you what we got going on here.
Of course. On April 29th, we'll have the happy hour at Tide Ends in League City. There'll be drink and food specials, and it'll be hosted along with KT Wellness and John Denman from Drink of Ages.
Okay, great. Sounds like a good event. I know some friends down in Dickinson, and I bet you that they will come out and see you guys. I appreciate you sharing that information. John, it's been great having you on here today. I look forward to talking some more to you about your benefit situation and about some of the great services that you have. Growing up in Houston, of course, live in San Antonio now, but growing up in Houston, and even on the north side, I lived up there and went to Aldine and all of that. But down south side, I had a lot of family down there in Deer Park, Pasadena, and all that area, and spent a lot of time down there too. And once again, do have some friends in the Dickinson area. We used to spend a lot of time down in San Leon too, which is right around the corner.
Just down the street.
From Dickinson there. Great. All right, folks, it has been a great show today. Appreciate John being on there. Want to share some more information with you real quick, and that is don't forget to go out to our website at eaglecarehealth.com and look at all the different services we provide. We certainly want to make sure that everyone gets all the information that they need on ACA plans and, of course, on the unique health solutions that Eagle Care Health provides. You can also reach us at 512-559-4358. That is 512-559-4358. One of the other things that we have noticed is a big uptick in folks looking for their personal benefits analysis from FESA. As you guys know, FESA is the Federal Employee Service Association, which is now working with the private market. They have really put a lot of time and effort into getting information out to everybody on our show. They can help you understand your benefits. Let me tell you why that is important. Understanding your benefits helps you know whether you're paying for something that you simply cannot use. Many people do not even realize a lot of times what they still have coming out of their bank account or maybe even your paycheck, and you've got benefits coming out that you can't even use. That's just crazy, spending money for nothing. All right, once again, appreciate you guys coming out there today. If you need to contact FESA, that's 512-867-6202 or gofesa.com. Appreciate everyone out there today. Next week, we will have Mr. Duncan on here with Rhino Services. That is Tommy Duncan. Rhino Solutions going to be with us next week. Health and Wealth Power, Harlan Pickett, we're out.
Thanks for tuning in to today's edition of the Health and Wealth Power Hour with Harlan Pickett. And don't forget to tune in each Thursday at 1 p.m. to find ways to access and keep more gold for your golden years. Because what it's all about is really enjoying those years and never running out of money on the Health and Wealth Power Hour right here on AM 700 KSEV.